Well, hey, good morning and welcome to the Blue Gamer Bluecast Morning Show. I'm your host, Adam Blue, 30 plus year video game enthusiast and industry analyst. And yeah, for today, December 18th, 2024, I'll be going through the latest gaming news, what I've been getting into gaming wise. Sometimes there's gameplay. I don't know if there'll be any today. I'm thinking about it. It depends how much time we have left because I really do, and we'll talk about this, I really do like the update that came out for Rita's Revenge. In fact, I should, or rewind. Rita's Revenge works too. But no, I should actually pull up those notes. I meant to do that earlier. Yeah, because it's so interesting. You guys have heard me on here talk about, like, as much as I like that Power Rangers Rita's, okay, where's it? Rewind, Brawler, beat 'em up, because I like that genre. There were just little things that it was doing that didn't make sense, and they've addressed most of it. It's very interesting. I did post on, obviously I made videos about it here, but I don't know if they're really watching those. I mean, it could be that they're searching how many people are talking about this game, and there might not be that many. But also on Steam, in the discussions, they're asking for feedback. Longtime video game industry veteran Stephen Frost is actually working on the title. He's been asking for feedback, and I did the crazy thing about, make XY multiple attacks for combos, but I did say, hey, there's something going on with that dodging, where there's this delay in time, so I can't ever, depend on it, and they completely changed it, where you can now dodge constantly like Shredder's Revenge, but I'll get to that in a second, because I can be talking about it all day. What I actually want to show off real quick before I get into what I've been playing is, this is video game related, and I've been collecting the Street Fighter action figure, Street Fighter 2 Ultra from Jada Toys, Super Street Fighter 2 Ultra, from Super Street Fighter Ultra 2, I don't know, from Jada Toys. I think Jada Toys, the Street Fighter 2 figures are some of the best action figures ever, even compared to SH Figure Arts. They seem to be more Marvel Legends, but once you look closer, it's way better. So here's Guile. Let's get a good pose for him that works good. But can I get him in focus? I know I can't. Anyway, what's so good about this is the detail. I wonder if you look closely, you can kind of see the texture on his shirt. Yeah, actually, this looks good. I'm glad I put a light over at my camera. Now I have 3 lights. Is it more than I need? Texture on the pants. The paint's good. That's a real metal chain that he's wearing around his neck for the dog tags. And then, the sculpt looks good. You got the tattoo on his arm. Pinless joints everywhere. And some of the most, excuse me, I don't know what's going on. Some of the most amazing articulation. These guys knock it out of the park with their articulation. He came with a sonic boom. Also, DJ, if I can get him to, which looks fantastic. Again, a metal chain around the neck. And what's really cool, and they did this based on user feedback, so just like Rita's Rewind, is they now made the hair on the back of the heads is articulated. And it comes off, but it's a ball joint that comes off. By the way, obligatory good morning, Ultronymous. I see you in the chat. Usually I call that out right away. But anyway, again, texture on the pants, texture, like the hair. Look at the detail. And then lastly is Cammy. And these they come with alternate heads. They come with a bunch of other accessories. I think Cammy looks good. It's good to do the obligatory, booty shot, which that's fine. Okay, come on, focus. But just the colors, the articulation, again, it does everything. And what I really like about compared to Marvel Legends is the waist joint. So let's focus again, please. How it's like a ball joint in there. It's not just like 2 pieces of plastic on each other, just swiveling. And I can't believe how much these were, like $25, $25. And so far I have all the ones that are out except for, and I feel like I talked about this, but this might have been on Gundam Explained. I just don't have like the player 2 Ryu and Ken. I'm not going to do all the color variants. Some I will, depending on what they come with like Chun-Li, she came with a bunch of alternate stuff. So if you're into video games, you're into action figures, the Street Fighter line from Jada Toys is top of the line. It is the best when it comes to action figures in general, but video game action figures. I mean, because I have and I reviewed it before, the Jin Sakai from Ghost of Tsushima. I keep it by my PS5. I mean, this is a good figure just for the price. It's just missing things, and it's not as gimmick rich. It's more of a statue. It has articulation, but a lot of the accessories are just molded on the figure itself, and you can't really do much with it. So, and it's more expensive, but that could be because of PlayStation. I don't know, but Capcom, I don't know. Okay. Let's get into what I've been playing. So yeah, really, all I really played was, from yesterday, Astrobot. So we could see 15 hours of Astrobot. Just to get an idea of, like, I have beat the game, but I haven't finished there's this other galaxy with a bunch of other levels that you could do. I haven't done them all. Also, the speedrunning levels that they released. So I would say maybe another 20, or a total would be like maybe 20 hours plus of content. I mean, it depends on the speedrunning levels. Excuse me. Morning sneeze. Okay. Yeah, I hate that. The 20, about 20 hours, 20 plus hours, I guess, if you're going to do everything in the game. That's cool. They had new trophies for the new Christmas thing. So to me, I feel like Astrobot is the whole package. That's the thing. Even though I was talking about yesterday, I'm not into the speedrunning challenge type of for that to be the sole focus on a lot of the levels. Like, that's not what I want to do in the game. I want to do what we saw on the Santa Christmas level, where it's you're exploring, you're figuring out puzzles, unlocking things. This is a complete package of a game. I could see why it won Game of the Year. Even though there are games that I had more fun with, I could see why it won Game of the Year. Like, I at the Game Awards, I should say, to be specific. And then what else? Yeah, and then, Power Rangers. So I beat it. So that's 3 hours and 28 minutes. That's beating the game. I guess I was already at the end by the time the patch came out, and we'll talk about that in a second, because the patch made the game a little easier, I think. I don't know. That's what it says, and it's already hard to begin with. Like, the last level, I died and had to do it again, and it's one of those things where you have 3 lives, you lose your lives, you have to start over again. And it's weird because it has a continue system, and I don't get that. There's times where I've had to continue, but I don't really get why I have to continue. And then it would say, like, I had 7 continues left. I'm like, for what? Don't I just don't I just have to redo the level? I don't know. So here's what I'll say. I'm glad, like, I would say, this is going to sound weird. I would almost say Mighty Morphin Power Rangers has the best graphics of the year. Now, they're not cutting edge graphics, but I would say it's the most artistic and cutting edge of that style. I feel like it's almost like this could have been a 32x game, just in terms of how it's scaling the pixels and all that stuff. Like, there's a couple areas I don't like too much, but then it also takes me back to some. It's like when it shows the pre-rendered into pixel art, so it almost looks like. But then I remember, like, back Donkey Kong Country did that. There was this game called Red Zone, if I remember correctly, on the Sega Genesis, and it was the first cartridge-based game to have full motion video, because at the beginning you're seeing like a silhouette of someone yelling, like a general or sergeant. I forget what it was. Actually, let me, while I'm talking, see if I can search for that. So it's almost like, okay, those graphics would have existed, and this is what it would look like. Just nowadays, that's actually being leveraged to do pixel art. It's but instead, yeah, it's like using a 3D program to make the model. Let's see. Can I? Yeah, okay, so I don't know if this is gonna show it. So this is, yeah, Red Zone on the Sega Mega Drive, Sega Genesis. And I remember, yeah, here we go. This. Like, for me, that was pretty amazing to see on the Sega Genesis, because this is, you know, so this is what the Power Ranger game is doing when it's doing the cutscenes of the Megazords when they go into battle. It's that type of graphic. So it existed, and just to kind of show, does it show the gameplay on here? Just so you get, like, look at what the gameplay looks like. Yeah, just a fun action shooter game. It was really hard. But man, I feel like my volume's really bad. Oh, I'm loving that music though. It's like very of that time. But it's very interesting too how you're walking around and it's almost like there's 3D to the world. I might need to play through this again. I'm glad Power Rangers of all things. Okay, let me look at something. Red Zone developer. Let's see. Well, okay, I need to fix this. Genesis. Xerinx. Wow, never heard of them. So let's see where they went to. Before Rita and went to create in the Hitman series of games. Wow. So, or maybe some, and went on to create. Okay, well, I feel like there's two things here going on. Oh, they went defunct in 2022. Heroes and Generals. Interesting. I know, it's always interesting to see where things went. So I wonder if Red My Head is reformed as an active developer. So yeah, I wonder, that'd be interesting to see. Are there like crossover of people that are now with IO Interactive that were, and it's kind of the same sort of thing. Like looking at this, Heroes and Generals. This was 2016. I don't think I ever played this because it almost looks like a generic game. It's got very positive recent reviews, mixed in general, but this is oh, it looked like it was a first-person shooter, but like, is it even really? Does it show gameplay? Doesn't really. Okay, so it looks like there's some stuff to it. Yeah, never played this. Very interesting. Anyway, weird how I go down this rabbit hole when I'm talking about a game. I'm talking about. See, this is what's interesting about my channel, and maybe why it's not as big as some. And I'll get into that here in a second with another channel we're going to talk about, because we're going to get into news. But anyway, the last level. So in it, you don't get to be the Green Ranger until you beat the game. Fighting the Green Ranger was badass. Fighting the Dragon Zord was badass. And the last boss was done pretty well. And even at the very end, and I don't think this is a spoiler, at the very end, right before the credits, I see what looks like Zordon's symbol, kind of like at the top, like almost like they're showing like a cutscene, and it's like, that looks like Zordon's symbol. I would see them coming out with DLC maybe that has Zordon, or not Zordon, Lord Zed. I'm sorry, I don't know why I was saying Zordon. Lord Zed, and it's like a Z. So I've seen Lord Zed symbol, and that would make me think also too the White Ranger would be available, because I think they need to do that. That's always my favorite, the White Ranger. The Green Ranger was cool, but as soon as you got that White Ranger outfit out, that looked so sick. And I think that maybe the point of that, or the reason I liked it so much, comes from the fact that that was from a different series, a different design, and so it kind of stood out for a lot of reasons. And sometimes white does good as a color. Not all the time, because sometimes white is just kind of basic, bland. But sometimes if it's like, here's the white version of something, like the white Xbox, oh, that's actually pretty cool, you know. Okay. So that news I want to get onto real quick that I was talking about that's related to my channel, but it's not related to my channel. So Nerd Nest, if you haven't heard of them, put out a video of a very realistic Switch 2 model sent to him by a case manufacturer. So if you haven't heard of Nerd Nest, I used to subscribe to Nerd Nest. What's interesting about Nerd Nest, the dude, or when they do their podcast, it's a very unique type of YouTube video game culture where it's almost like your friend that thinks games are cool, but doesn't necessarily know a lot about them. A lot of times and he's got 77,000 subscribers, so obviously he's doing something right, but I think it's that approach, it's that mainstream approach, because a lot of times when they get into discussions, they don't go into these deep dives like I do, where I went from Rita's Rewind to Red Zone on Sega Genesis and how the development process, you know, and all that. They're very mainstream, like most of the time they doesn't know how to get into another thing, or doesn't know, or they're wrong. But I think that works because then all the time is really spent on the production value, because it is high production value. And here's the dude. He looks like one of the older gamers like me, essentially. But anyway, what's interesting about this in the video, though, is he got sent pretty much like a model of a Switch 2. And it even has the working magnets on the side. Let me go back just a bit. So yeah, the idea is instead of it sliding up and down, there's actually the magnets that it uses to connect. And he's going to use it right here. Now, his whole thing, at first he's saying at first, you know, the issue with that is it's easy to take off. But then he's showing off that button on the back. And the idea is when the magnets stick, they use electronics to lock it. So then you would use that button to unlock it and then pull it out. So that's actually neat that they're going in that direction. And that makes sense because even the leaks were saying the magnets were also buttons. So essentially these are buttons here. And he's comparing it with the other Switch. So it's all like the leak said. It's a little bigger. The screen is bigger. The buttons are bigger. The triggers are bigger. The grips are bigger. And I think that's the right direction to go. I mean, the Switch is already cool as it is, and it's a great form factor. And that's actually the Switch I have right here. But I have, you know, the bigger. Actually, let me grab it right here. And I think I've shown these off before. The controllers I have for the Switch that I use are bigger. They have bigger grips, bigger triggers, bigger buttons. It's way more comfortable. So it's cool that Nintendo knows to go that direction. And it's very interesting too, because the other news is very soon Nintendo is going to be making the announcement just because it's already out there. Like the design is already out there. The Switch 2 is already out there. Ultronum is saying, yeah, Lord Zed DLC would get a lot of people interested, and they did bring him back for Power Rangers Cosmic Fury 2, so he's relevant. Oh, I did not know they brought him back in Cosmic Fury. That's interesting. Mainstream people wouldn't be interested in the side stuff or details. Yeah, that's what it seems to be. But I'm just going to keep going in this direction anyway. Because even, and actually you could see Spawn Wave over here is another huge channel. I used to watch it all the time, but a lot of times it is that very surface level, but it serves the greater mainstream audience, you know. Ultra C, you might be an older gamer, but you don't really look like an older gamer, if that makes sense. Yeah, and I think that's also part of it too, because, and I've had this happen in life where, because of my younger look, that's kind of why I've been doing this 5 o'clock shadow. You know, people just don't take me seriously, generally. And I have to prove myself, if you know what I mean. I've had that happen quite a bit from, when I worked private security. I remember that there was a lot of that there. That really kind of shaped the way I perceive how, you know, people would judge me. Because a lot of times, I remember instances people just wouldn't trust me about things. Be like, oh, Adam wouldn't know what to do. And then I would do it, and it's like, not that I didn't make mistakes, but yeah, be happy I aged gracefully. That is true. That's funny. I remember when I was taking a college course that I didn't even finish. It was like my first years doing the basics, and I remember my first essay was about age discrimination and how, yes, that happens when you're older, but it also happens when you're younger, and especially how your age is perceived. Because that was coming to a time for me too, where as I was perceiving age, getting out of high school, going into college, and I realized, oh, just because someone is an older adult doesn't mean they know what they're talking about. Like I really realized in my early 20s how age perception was like a thing. But anyway, see, I like diving into these interesting little conversations. Okay. So anyway, I think that's pretty cool. We're going to get a Switch 2 announcement here soon because we're seeing a lot there. All right, Amy Hennig reveals new Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra details and concept art. Let's see. Okay, it led us to tap into all the things that I love, all the wonderful tropes of World War II era adventure films, classic men on a mission movies, and all that. There's a lot of intrigue in our story, a lot of twists and turns. Yeah, this could be very cool. Is that interesting? It's an Entertainment Weekly preview. Again, kind of tapping into the mainstream. Wakanda at this point in time is hidden away from the outside world and protected by this impenetrable jungle. They are non-interventionists, but events transpire that pull them into the conflict. They have to protect their interests. The world is getting smaller. So that's kind of the story, Okay, there's not too much. But this is cool only because this is Amy Hennig has a great reputation, for games, and also like this is a neat concept because it's not just like, oh, let's do Captain America modern day running around, like the Avengers game. This is like 1943, Black Panther and Captain America. They're like at different parts of the world and different, powers and all that. So what I'm saying is that can have a really unique gameplay experience. Even though I'm someone that's not like super into Marvel or whatever. Let's see. Amazon's Secret Level has been renewed for second season. Autonomous, I know we were talking about this. I watched a few more episodes yesterday. I think it's pretty cool. So it's interesting. Like, I think it's cool, but I feel like it's missing, like the Mega Man thing. I get you. Like that Mega Man thing was so awesome, and then it ends, and it's like, no. You just set me up for something awesome. But I like the idea of these things being short, and there being lots of them, because these could be concepts for them, or proof of concepts for them to then be like, okay, let's run with one. And I really think they should run with the Mega Man one. The Armored Core one looked cool, but once all the shooting was going on, I could have fell asleep. Keanu Reeves was cool in that. Actually, yeah, Keanu Reeves was pretty amazing in that compared to some of his stuff. Let's see. I'm so glad it did. I finished it, and only one episode didn't hit with me. It should be obvious which. No, let me know. I didn't watch them all. I skipped through some. Mega Man, I was so mad they teased us like that. I was just curious why some were short and others were longer. Yeah. And one thing I will say that was very apparent with this series, and I don't know if it's like a meta commentary on gaming in terms of like you die in a game and then you come back. Like there was a lot of blood. And it was very interesting where I felt like it was being too on the nose about this is a video game, like the Spelunky one. The characters kept dying and coming back. Sifu, the character would die and come back. And I know that's part of the gameplay mechanics, but I find it interesting that they turn the mechanics into part of the narrative when, for me, when I'm playing the game, the narrative for me is not, oh, I'm dead, now I'm coming back so I can learn. No, it's just I'm going to run through again, just like if I was playing a game of Mario and I died in the level and came back. Anyway, just a little, kind of going deep in the weeds here. But anyway, I think it's cool because I really think this should be a thing maybe they do every year or 2 years where they take a handful of video games that have existed and make some sort of video. And plus some of it is promotional. Like I think that Pac-Man video was really just to kind of promote this crazy new game they're coming out with that's like Pac-Man, but not. And then the Concord thing is hilarious. That I didn't watch that one, but it's so hilarious. I don't want to sound like a hater, but Concord was the weakest episode of them all. For me, Honor of Kings was the... Oh, I'll have to watch the Honor of Kings then. I didn't watch Unreal Tournament, but I did watch Sifu because I like the martial arts. But again, it gets really bloody and violent, and I don't think that's necessarily... I think the violence is... How do I explain it? In these games, when you die, that's just a way to get, restart. But in some of the series, it's almost like they took that seriously and like, here's these violent deaths, violence, death all around us. And I get that, but I think that takes away from the point of the games. Okay. This is something I think I wanted to look at, wasn't too sure. There was this Lost Soul Aside. Oh, hello. I don't know. I don't remember if I saw this or not, but you know, it's funny how I see these action games a whole lot that I want to look at, and I'm like, and then I play them sometimes. I'm like, you know, I got my fill. Like, sometimes action games really have to do something different, because I really wanted to play Stellar Blade. It got a Christmas update. I haven't played this, and I really wanted to. In fact, but it was the timing where it's like, well, wait a minute, you know, after Helldivers 2, it's like, Sony's releasing their games on PC. I would kind of just rather play them on PC. Especially after Spider-Man 2, I barely played that, and then it came out on PC. It's like, man, I would have rather just got it on PC, and it would have been on sale. So, as much as I really wanted to play this year, I'm waiting for the PC release. But it's very funny, speaking of Helldivers 2, is they have Killzone cosmetics, which is pretty crazy, right? I guess this is the name of the stuff from it. And it kind of works, like that aesthetic works. And I'm just surprised. Like, it's cool that Sony is doing this with Killzone. I thought they completely forgot about it. I think they should just continue the series. You know, it almost reminds me of like the DCEU. It's like they make movies, and just because some didn't do well, they're like, okay, we're just going to cancel everything. It's just, I remember when that Killzone game came out on PS4, that was amazing looking. And it was pretty fun, but it was just amazing. I mean, the other Killzone games were great too. I mean, just in terms of like presentation, and it's like, oh my god, this is insane. But yeah, pretty crazy. All right, let's see. And this kind of goes to where I was just talking about, Lords of the Fallen 2. So, Lords of the Fallen was already a remake of Lords of the Fallen, which was a Souls-like. I played a little bit of it, and it was pretty cool, but as I was playing, I was like, you know what, I've done all this. This is just, you know, Souls-like combat. And they're making a sequel, so one, that's great that they're making a sequel. You know, good for them. But it's like, I don't know if it's going to take me time to, like, cleanse my palette of action games to be able to jump into another one. But I'll give it a shot, because I think the first one I was able to play it because it was on Game Pass. But it's funny, because then the Lords of the Fallen developers went on to make the Surge games, which I love. But then they made that Atlas Fallen game, I think that was called, which didn't do too great. And I hope they're just making another Surge game. But yeah, there's that. And that's the thing. What was interesting about the Surge, it was taking that Souls-like action game, but making it different. Because it was very, like, machine-based, robotics, aiming for limbs, tearing off the limbs to get the parts. It was pretty good. Okay, according to Jez Corden, Microsoft's working on a set of in-game APIs and user interface features for cross-platform Xbox guide menu, and that makes sense. Just because with the PC being the main thing, like, you know, again, Sony releasing things on PC, Microsoft has the heads up on that, the leg up on that, because they can already kind of create this ecosystem with a PC device. Okay, the last thing I wanted to get to before we leave, and it was like the main thing, was talking about the updates that happened for the Power Ranger game, because these are the things that I was criticizing about the game. If you'd been watching, you know, the past couple weeks, I guess, when I've been talking about it, all Rangers now move faster, walk and dash speeds. Amazing that they did that. I did not think they would change that. Ranger grab and grab attack speed increased. kind of annoying. There are times where if there's a lot of stuff going on on the screen at the same time, especially the last boss, there would be a time where I was going to the boss, but there was a bunch of enemies, and then because I walked up to the enemy, I grabbed it, and then it stopped. It's waiting for me to do something. I'm like, I can't move. Why can't I move? Not realizing behind some graphics, I was holding an enemy. That was pretty annoying. Rangers can perform the dodge move without any cooldown, but are only invulnerable for the initial frames of the animation. That is exactly I think the biggest issue I had, and they fixed it. I'm so glad I posted it in the Steam discussions. It's where, yeah, you can constantly now tap the dodge, kind of like how it works in Shredder's Revenge, where you're constantly, moving around like that, and then it makes it so much easier, because then you can really time that stuff a lot better. Let me adjust this just. Hey, GMKillX, good to see you. Let's see. There were a couple of Gun Souls games. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I remember they said that one game. Oh, I forgot the name. Remnant. But it wasn't a Souls-like when I started playing it. I was like, no, this is just a Destiny-like. Okay. In easy mode, the dodge move is always invulnerable. Ranger can chain Rising Strike for many more states. So I would say, yeah, it seemed like it was easier to combo different moves now. Okay, Rangers can dodge while holding an enemy to let go. Oh, okay, that I didn't know. Rangers, I guess I read it, but I didn't really think about it. Ranger Special is boosted slightly by a successful dodge. Oh, I didn't know that. In terms of I wasn't really paying attention. Vertical attack collision for time disruptors is wider. Yeah, that was a big one. Time disruptor easier to destroy. Yeah, that makes sense. Food pickups are more spread out when spawning from containers. That makes sense because if you're playing with a lot of people, the food would clump together. You could accidentally grab it all. In hard mode, enemies now have the same health as normal, but do twice the damage. Let's see. Oh, players can swap to any other NPC ranger in the juice bar. I like that. I was even thinking that in my head. Was when you're in the juice bar, it's like a hub. You can hang out with the other rangers. I'm like, it would be cool if here I could just select the different character, because then you'd have to back out of the menu to select your character. And they added that in. I posted something last night to them on the Steam discussions to say, hey, can you make it to where you can adjust the sound and music? Because the music is great, but it's almost way under the sound effects, and I'd rather tweak it. And I've done this in games before where I tweak the music just to be a little louder, to hear it a little better. And then, yeah, changing the Megazord gameplay. Turret stuff does less damage. Gravity is reduced when jumping to make pits easier to clear. Falling in a pit won't take away a life. That was a big one. Because if you didn't see or you fell into a pit and you only have 3 lives, like, that was huge. When multiple players are fighting a boss, and so players reach a game over state, the difficulty scales. Oh, okay. Let's see. Yeah, the bosses' health being balanced is a big one. Health power-ups now spawn during Zord boss battles. So that was a new one to me when I was fighting a Zord, where it would, fall from the sky. It would be like health or shield or something, which was helpful because this game is still super hard. Like I said last night, even with this update, I couldn't complete the last level. I died, and then I had to restart. I got to the last boss, lost all my health, and let's see. Yeah. Anyway, it's amazing. Immortal Unchained. I don't think I played that. Yeah, I played the Remnant sequel, but you know what? I did not get souls from the Remnant games. I remember people were saying that, but when I played it, it was just more like Destiny. It's like a third person Destiny. But anyway, these Power Ranger updates are amazing. This is exactly like them listening and actually changing gameplay mechanics, and I think it really helped. So, anyway, guys, I do gotta go. That is my time. Oh, didn't mean to do that. This was a lot of fun. I'll be back tomorrow with some more, but until next time, be cool. See y'all later.